Welcome back to Lightning Round. 3 questions.
All right.
There was an article, Groupon is not at all making money. They changed their accounting. It's a bit more realistic with generally accepted accounting principles, and they're losing money and whatnot. Do you think Groupon is a real business, or is it a fad, and we're going to look back at it and say, not quite Pets.com, but basically Pets.com 2.0?
I suspect that the growth experience was a fad. I think it's a real business in terms of offering people localized deals. It's a business model we still have to figure out. So whether or not Groupon survives is anyone's guess, I guess, but I don't think group localized buying is going to go away.
I think the fact that they turned down that $6 billion offer by Google is going to sort of be the, I wouldn't call it the albatross, but it'll always be that footnote in their history that's going to hamper them.
It's like when Yahoo didn't buy Google.
Yeah, but I think $6 billion is a far different sum than Yahoo not buying Google for $1 million. So the level of craziness, I think, is a bit different. But the problem with Groupon is also that there's a red flag, which is why are they taking off so much money, the founders and the initial investors, when they raise money? That, I think, is a red flag. Number 2, AOL investors are losing their patience. Are they right, wrong, or simply impatient?
I would say that they're right. AOL hasn't done anything innovative in a long time, and they're having trouble really pulling up their boots and getting their shit together. So I think investors are right to kind of lose patience with AOL.
I just question some of the moves, like Patch. That's a crazy expensive initiative. Like, why not just go buy something like the Journal Register, which was taken private, and say we're just going to go online only. You get your local strategy there, and it wouldn't cost you $100 million. I think strategy, Tim Armstrong gets an A+. I think execution is just hard because it's that falling knife, right? Like the dial-up is shrinking much faster than anything could be done. Ultimately, though, when you look at Google and Facebook sort of attacking search and social, I think if AOL could be the sort of content hub that just sort of umbrellas over all that, I think they might have a future. I think it's a matter of timing. HuffPo, number 3. HuffPo is asking for free unpaid logo ideas from designers. It's one thing to do that when you're like privately VC held, but if you are owned by AOL, is that douchey, or is it actually an opportunity for the designers?
I think as far as their brand goes, it was probably a bad move. They're now kind of publicly traded, so they shouldn't be openly asking for free work. If you want free work, you go to your agency and you say, well, we spend so much a year for you, we want some free work just because we're going to grab you by the nuts. I think ultimately it might be a good move, though. They're probably, as much as people are upset, they're going to get a lot of free ideas submitted to them. They might not use those ideas. They might simply hand those ideas to their agency or their internal designers, which will then hack them. In a word, I think they're crowdsourcing a new logo in a way that would be effective. I don't think they should do it again, and I think there's probably a lesson there, especially for other content providers who want free work from their agencies.
Lots of backlash. My 2 cents is this, right? So we never raise VC. We have a lot of employees, and unlike the general trend in content, we actually have crazy idea, full-timers. We did start with a lot of freelancers or unpaid interns, but the percentage of those who went on to get full employment is pretty high. So I understand why some companies would do that, but I think for HuffPo to do it now, I mean, I love Arianna Huffington. She deserves kudos for everything she's done. I just think for them to do it now as part of AOL is like, what were you thinking? It's going to backfire. It's time for the email of the week. What's the email?
It's an email from a gentleman named Sanjay in New York, and he says, on last week's show, Ash mentioned that he never uses his articles to communicate to clients, partners, employees, etc. Well, Sanjay finds that hard to believe, and he thinks that everyone finds it hard to believe.
Okay, what I said was you shouldn't do it. I'm not lying and saying I'm like superhuman and have never done it. So here's like the a bit expanded version. When I was writing a career column way back earlier in my career, I was younger, and my experience was, let's say, in more of the startup setting, and I'd also worked in corporations. Once in a while, so I learned 2 lessons. This is why you shouldn't do it. Once in a while, maybe subliminally or subconsciously, I would write something, and what I realized was people would not read between the lines. So if I was trying to send you a message, I realized it went over your head because people don't necessarily pick up your, like leave the metaphors for John Keats. It was the lesson there. And 2, the bigger problem, and this was why really when I started WatchMojo, I said never do this, is then people, when they might read something, they're going to read too much into a statement. And then they're like, are you talking to me? Is this about me? Was this refers to that? So I've learned to just, when I started WatchMojo, and I wasn't just an executive and a columnist, but I was like the CEO, like people turn to for management and leadership and all that jazz, I just said don't do it. That's why I stopped writing more about career advice and more just about the general industry. So I wasn't being a hypocrite by saying I've never done it, never do it. I was just saying in my experience you shouldn't do it, and now I guess based on Sanjay.
You don't make it your MO to do it.
No, but because I think it doesn't, you don't achieve what you want. You don't actually get the message across, and people then read too much into it. So that's that. If you got any emails, feel free to email us at live@watchmojo.com. That was this week's show. We'll be back next week, same time, same place.